May I have your leftovers, sir? The outdoor cafe on Fifth Avenue hummed with the gentle sounds of afternoon life. Coffee cups clinked against saucers. Conversations blended into a soft murmur. Sunlight filtered through the hanging plants, creating patterns of light and shadow on the cobblestone patio. Marcus Thornton sat alone at a corner table, his laptop open but forgotten. He'd ordered more food than he could eat, as usual. A habit from his corporate days, when lunch meetings meant impressing clients with excess. Now, as a successful venture capitalist, he still couldn't break the pattern. He was about to signal for the check when a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. Marcus looked up. A young woman stood beside his table, holding a baby against her shoulder. The infant couldn't have been more than 6 months old, wrapped in a thin pink blanket that had seen better days. The woman herself wore a cream-colored dress that might have been elegant once, but now hung loose on her frame, suggesting weight she'd lost and couldn't afford to regain. Yes, Marcus said, his tone cautious. In this part of the city, people asking for things were common. He'd learned to be careful. The woman's cheeks flushed pink. She looked down at the baby, gathering courage, then met his eyes again. There was no manipulation in her gaze. No rehearsed sob story waiting to spill out. Just quiet desperation and something else. Dignity, even in her obvious need. "I'm so sorry to bother you," she said softly. "But I noticed you didn't finish your meal. I was wondering, would you mind if I took your leftovers?" "For myself," she added quickly. "Not to sell or anything. I haven't eaten today, and I need to keep my strength up for her." She adjusted the baby gently, and Marcus saw how carefully she held the child. How her whole body curved protectively around the tiny life in her arms. Something in his chest tightened. This wasn't a con. This wasn't a scheme. This was a mother, hungry and desperate, swallowing her pride to ask a stranger for table scraps. "Please, sit down," Marcus said, standing to pull out the chair across from him. The woman hesitated. "Oh, I didn't mean to impose. If you could just sit," Marcus repeated, his voice gentler now. "Please." Slowly, she lowered herself into the chair, adjusting the baby in her arms. The infant made a small sound, and the woman immediately began a soothing, rocking motion that looked like pure instinct. Marcus signaled the waiter. "Could we have a menu, please? And some warm milk for the baby if you have it." "Sir, you don't have to," the woman started. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. She blinked, surprised by the question. Sarah Mitchell. "I'm Marcus." He leaned forward slightly, his elbows on the table. "Sarah, when was the last time you had a proper meal?" Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. 2 days ago, maybe 3. I lose track sometimes." The waiter appeared with the menu, and Marcus ordered without looking at it. Soup, sandwiches, a salad, fruit. Comfort food, real food, the kind that fills empty stomachs and tired souls. "You don't have to do this," Sarah whispered, but her eyes betrayed how much she needed someone to do exactly this. "Tell me about her," Marcus said, nodding at the baby. "What's her name?" Sarah's expression softened instantly, the way all mothers' faces do when asked about their children. "Emma. She's 5 months old. She's beautiful." "Thank you." Sarah pressed a kiss to the baby's head. "She's everything. She's why I keep going." The food arrived quickly, and Marcus watched as Sarah ate. Not frantically, not with the desperation he'd expected, but with careful, measured bites. She was savoring it, making it last, even though he could see how hungry she was. "What happened?" he asked quietly. "If you don't mind me asking." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, feeding herself small spoonfuls of soup between gentle rocks of the baby. Finally, she spoke. "I was a nurse," she said. "At Presbyterian Hospital. I loved my job. Then I got pregnant, and everything changed. Emma's father, he left before she was born. Said he wasn't ready to be a parent." She smiled sadly. "I thought I could manage alone. I had savings, and maternity leave, and a plan. But Emma was premature. She needed special care. The medical bills ate through everything I had. Then my apartment building was sold, and the new owners tripled the rent. I couldn't afford it anymore. I couldn't afford anything anymore." She looked up at Marcus, and in her eyes he saw the story of 1,000 small disasters that had led to this moment. Not one catastrophic failure, but a series of circumstances that had slowly eroded everything she'd built. I've been staying at a shelter, she continued. But they're full most nights. Sometimes Emma and I sleep in the park. I've been trying to find work, but I can't afford childcare, and I can't bring her to interviews. I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how to swim anymore. Marcus felt something crack open inside him. A wall he'd built over years of business deals and bottom lines. Of seeing people as resources or obstacles. Of forgetting that behind every statistic about poverty was a person with a story. A person who'd had dreams and plans before life had knocked them down. He thought about his own life. His penthouse apartment, his vacation home, his cars he rarely drove, all the excess he'd accumulated without even noticing. And here was Sarah, asking for leftovers just to survive another day. "What if I told you I could help?" he said. Sarah shook her head quickly. "I'm not asking for charity. I just needed some food. I'll pay you back someday, I promise." "I'm not talking about charity," Marcus said. "I'm talking about opportunity." He pulled out his phone and made a call. Sarah watched, confused, as he spoke quietly to someone on the other end. When he hung up, he looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "I own a company," he said. "Several, actually. One of them operates corporate childcare centers. High quality, on-site facilities for employees' children. We're always looking for good nurses for the infant care units." Sarah's eyes widened. "I'm offering you a job," Marcus continued. "Full-time, with benefits. Emma can be in the childcare center while you work. The pay is competitive, and we have employee housing assistance for the first 6 months." I don't understand," Sarah whispered. "Why would you do this?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, thinking. 5 years ago, I almost lost everything," he said finally. "My wife left, taking half my assets. My business partner betrayed me. I was on the verge of bankruptcy. A colleague gave me a chance when no one else would. He believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. He told me that success means nothing if you don't use it to lift others up." He met Sarah's eyes. "When I looked at you today, I saw someone who's still fighting. Someone who hasn't given up, even when giving up would be easier. You walked up to a stranger and asked for help, and that takes more courage than most people have. That's the kind of strength we need." Tears streamed down Sarah's face now, unchecked. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes." "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you so much." Marcus smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Come to my office tomorrow. We'll get everything set up. In the meantime," he pulled out his wallet and handed her several bills. "Get yourself and Emma a hotel room for tonight. A safe place to sleep. You both deserve that." Sarah took the money with shaking hands. "I'll never forget this," she said. "Never." "You don't need to forget it," Marcus replied. "Just remember it when you're in a position to help someone else someday. Pass it forward." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the lobby of his corporate headquarters, watching the morning rush of employees heading to their offices. Sarah walked by, Emma in a carrier on her chest, laughing at something a colleague had said. She wore scrubs now, her face fuller, her eyes bright with purpose and hope. She saw Marcus and waved, mouthing, "Thank you," across the crowded lobby. He nodded back, feeling that same warmth in his chest that he'd felt that day at the cafe. The warmth of knowing that sometimes, the universe puts people in your path for a reason. Not for you to judge or ignore, but for you to help. Because miracles aren't always grand gestures from above. Sometimes they're simple human choices. The decision to see someone else's humanity. The choice to extend a hand instead of turning away. Sometimes a miracle is just one person asking, "May I have your leftovers, sir?" And another person answering, "How about we get you something better instead?" And in that moment, 2 lives change forever.